welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown. With me is Mr. Andrew Meadows.
I'm here.
Hello.
We have made it to a recording sesh.
Yeah, so this is an unusual recording sesh for us. We're talking about what if on this episode, and we kind of had to do a piecemeal recording of this episode. So we're recording this after we already talked about what if probably a few days ago at this point, and we're kind of catching up and doing everything else. So my hope is that by the time we start talking about what if, the listeners will have forgotten that little bit, and it'll feel seamless, and then it'll go right back into catching up, and it's going to be great. Everything's going to be great. It'll all come out great in the edit. But yeah, it's a little odd for us, to kind of do it in this fashion. Usually we just hang out for a couple hours, 3-4 hours occasionally, frequently, and and do it all in one go. So we're gonna make it work. But I can personally assure you that we had a great conversation on what if, and you're going to in the near future listen to a great conversation on what if. So you can certainly look forward to that. You'll notice it's just Andrew and myself right now. Our resident Marvel expert has not abandoned us. He will be part of the conversation on what if a little bit later in this episode. Just as, it was a scheduling thing is ultimately kind of why we had to do it this way.
Lest we make everybody wait.
Correct.
2 months.
So we do what we can, and we're already super late to the party with what if. So it is what it is. I don't think we're going to do a what if fun fact on this particular episode. I think we'll probably talk plenty of fun facts as we get into talking about what if itself. So I have a fun fact to offer. Which again does not relate to what if, but I think it's extremely fun. It might be the funnest fact that I've ever offered on this podcast.
Well, serve it up. And
the fun fact I have for the listeners, is that the Atlanta Braves are the goddamn World Series champions.
No way!
And it gives me such joy to say that. And honestly, I've been holding on to it because of how we've been recording. Like, it happened like a couple weeks ago at this point, so it's not exactly hot, fresh news.
I didn't even follow it.
They won the goddamn thing. It was awesome. They beat the cheating fucks, aka the Houston Astros.
It got a little tipsy turvy there in the middle because I was following it in the middle, and then I didn't follow up with it to see who actually won. So how many wins did the Astros have?
The Astros finished with 2 wins. It went to Game 6. So the Braves, because the Astros had the better record for the year, they had home field advantage for games 1 and 2, and then the Braves managed to take one of those games. They played 3 games in Atlanta. The Braves took 2 out of 3 there. So they went back to Houston for one more game, and the Braves shut the Astros down 7-0. It's just a lights out game from Max Fried. Jorge Soler was fucking dropping bombs. Jorge Soler hit more home runs than the entirety of the Astros combined for the series, which is fucking awesome. But yeah, it's been a bit of a championship drought for Atlanta. Last one at 95. So that's to say this is the first time really in my lifetime that the Braves have won it, which I was born before 95, but you don't really enjoy World Series championships when you're 3 years old. Although I made the comment and someone was like, I guess you're not a true fan then. I was just like, yeah, I guess not. I guess I became a true fan after I turned 3 at some point. But yeah, it's awesome. This was not a year that I thought the Braves were gonna make the World Series push. They lost their best player to an ACL injury halfway through the year. Their best pitcher has had an Achilles tear from last year that he re-aggravated that, and he's done for the year. So he didn't pitch a single inning this year. One of their best outfielders, who they signed to a big deal, got injured and then subsequently arrested for domestic abuse and was suspended for the rest of the year, even when he was not injured anymore. So it was just like a whirlwind of like bad things happening for the Braves. They didn't cross 500 until more than halfway through the year. But they made some serious moves at the trade deadline. Kudos to Alex Anthopoulos, who's their general manager, and they just, whatever it was, the October magic happened, and the Braves are World Series champions. So it's awesome. It's really great.
Incredible.
To see.
Good for you, dude. You've been holding out strong for a long time.
Honestly, in terms of just pure like sports and general championships, it's been pretty lackluster since the mid 2000s. The Gators had some nice basketball and football wins, but since then it's been a dry spell for sure. You've at least had the Lightning, to enjoy a couple years in a row. So that's it's a good feeling. It's just it just warms your heart. So the Rays haven't quite finished it all, but they've come close a couple times. But
and then you had the Bucks.
The Bucks recently,
of course my recent affinity for the Dogs. The Dogs are absolutely
Georgia are certainly well on their way to finally delivering a national championship. So easier said than done. They've still got to run through Alabama possibly twice, as it may turn out. But it'll be. We'll see. I mean, they're definitely the best team right now. I think we can say that. So they gotta prove their mettle. But we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough World Series talk. I had to get it off my chest. That's my fun fact. Atlanta Braves World Series champions. Definitely bought some merchandise. So don't even worry about it. I'm going to decorate my office with a nice World Series pennant, but it's not supposed to be here till December. So unfortunately, but anyway, do you have any fun facts?
I got a fun fact for somebody, or you, or everyone. Actually, right. I have a fun fact for everyone.
Give it to me. Give it to us.
Sarah and I will be in Philadelphia on Friday, November 19th. Yes.
Yeah. Which is
flying in.
Just 2 days from now, from when we're recording. It's
I was
going
to say
past.
Friday, but that's it's not a good.
By the time this goes up, it's probably well in the past. Hopefully not too much in the past. Although if you listen to this in 3 years, because you're catching up on the huge backlog of episodes that we have to offer, maybe it's in the very far past. But yeah, it's very exciting. Sarah's first time in Philly, I understand it.
Sarah's first time in Philly. My second time in Philly.
Andrew's second time, and he hasn't been since we traveled up here together before I started law school many years ago.
I went and saw the Citadel, as I like to call it, the massive library of Temple University. Right. I felt like Samwell Tarly in Game of Thrones when he walks in there and sees all the books.
Yeah. So no, it'll be really fun. I don't, we're not going to record or anything while we're up here. I don't really have the same setup that Andrew does down in Florida, but certainly the next time we record, which will not be for the next episode in sequence, that'll be Eternals, as I'll talk about later. It'll probably be the Ghostbusters episode. We'll probably be able to do a recap of Andrew and Sarah's trip up to Philadelphia, and I'm looking forward to their arrival. We've got some fun things. We'll be hanging out with Henrique as well. So shout out to him. You guys will hear from him a little bit later when we talk What If and all that. But
very excited, super stoked,
very excited. It's gonna be good fun. So lots of fun facts up front. But we got some news. If you want to talk some news.
Yes, what do we got? So,
2 pieces of news, and then we got a lot of trailers. And this is all fully like catching up on news, because we're, like I said, we're doing Eternals next as our next episode in sequence. A lot of the Marvel news, I think, that was there has been pushed to that episode. So this is kind of anything else. There's actually a lot of news here that I was. If we had done like a Halloween Kills or some other, Halloween centered episode, I mean Halloween like the not holoday, but
I think this is our first year where we didn't do a horror centered.
Yeah, we didn't really. Yeah, I thought we'd do something, but we've kind of just been all over the place in terms of recording and getting episodes out, so it just never quite happened. So I had a couple horror things, in my back pocket, and I'm like, oh shit, now I look like a fucking idiot. But anyway, we'll just throw it into the middle of a random episode. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. Who cares, right? Yeah. But anyway, before we get there, let's talk the news. This is, I guess, a follow-up on the last episode, Dune. You may recall that we did an episode on Dune. Dune Part 1. as it's titled on screen. So slight follow up on that. I think when we talked about it, we'd known that Dune Part 2 was coming out, that it had like been just confirmed like the day that we recorded or something like that. So Dune Part 2 is set to come out in October 2023, and Denny didn't think they were going to start filming. Denny being Denis Villeneuve, aka Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune Part 1 and Part 2. He didn't think they were going to start filming until the fall of 2022, but apparently a producer has said that filming is set to begin July of 2022. So
nice. Get it done.
I think, presumably there's been a lot of pre-production and planning that's already gone ahead for this. Certainly the source material is sitting there waiting for them, so they just gotta, get the script in good shape and presumably the sets, whatever, that they are still using. Like, that there's probably some carryover in sets, I would think, from the first one. I actually don't know that for a fact, but yeah, it sounds like it's well on its way, which is great. We are definitely looking forward to some more Dune. I still have only seen it the one time. I really want to watch it again, and like it's leaving HBO Max soon, so I'm like, shit, do I do it that way and go see it in theaters again? I could just A-list it at some point. So
I've watched it twice.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm still reading the book too. Is kind of like where I'm just like, I wish I could get to a point in the book where it's basically caught up with the movie and then go see the movie, but I still got a ways to go before I get there. So I don't know. I'll see it again at some point. Regardless, it will end up in my 4K Blu-ray collection, if nothing else. Maybe Best Buy will put out a glorious looking steelbook or something like that. That would be excellent. But
fun fact, for my birthday, I got the Dune board game.
Oh, nice. What's it called? Because I've seen a couple board games.
It's called I think it's just called Dune. Okay. It's like Dune, and then on the bottom it says like Conquer, Conquest, and something. I don't know.
Okay, I saw one at Target. It was called like
I think
Dune.
That's where it came from.
I was like Dune Imperium or something like that.
It's like a circle map of Arrakis.
It sounds right. Yeah. I don't know. It looks super up your alley. In fact, I was considering it as a Christmas option, but I'll go ahead and cross it off the list. So this works out great.
Was it so? From what I hear, because Steven got it for me for my birthday, Steven says that there's a couple of different versions of the game, the Dune game. There's like $100 version, and there's like a $40 version. He got me the $40 version of the game, which had higher. Okay. It had a higher. I don't know what ranking system it is. There's probably a board game website with rankings. It was ranked higher. I tried to play it. I played some of it. I acquainted myself with how to play with Sarah's dad. It's definitely not a 1v1 game. Okay. Like you can make it work, but it's kind of like hodgepodge together. Definitely a game that requires probably at least 4 people.
Okay.
But it was definitely up my alley, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's just it was. You could tell that it would be a fun game. It just wasn't the best experience with 2 people. So, but yeah, fun fact. There's some Dune board games out there if you're into like Risk-esque unit management with like some cards and stuff with special abilities and whatnot. It's pretty fun. Pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah. Well, maybe the next time I'm down there, we can bust out the old Dune board game and
play a Dune.
Yeah, play a Dune. That would be pretty cool. It seems like it's an imposing, like it would be an imposing board game of like, oh god, like like learning so many things. But like all board games, you play it once, you play it twice, and that's like
once you get to the first, once you read the directions and you read your way through the first like phase, like the first complete set of phases. Mm-hmm. It's not terribly complicated. It's pretty easy.
All right, that's good. That's good to know.
So,
all right. Well, next time I'm down there. Let's move on to the next piece of news. Hayden Christensen. We know he's coming back to play Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Disney Plus series, which is upcoming. But we've also learned he's going to be playing Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader in the Ahsoka live-action series, also coming to Disney Plus, bringing back Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano, who she portrayed in the second season of The Mandalorian. Now, I would presume that this is, at the very least, flashbacks of like Anakin proper. Maybe in addition to Vader himself popping up in some, in armored fashion. But I don't know.
Right.
I guess I don't know. I guess we don't really know the timeline of this. I mean, I guess theoretically everything has to be flashback because it's all post Vader being dead.
Yeah, right.
But certainly there's an opportunity for original trilogy timeline shenanigans to be happening with Ahsoka surviving, avoiding, detection and all that good stuff. So anyway, I'm appreciating the Hayden Renaissance, in terms of the Star Wars universe. Obviously he got a lot of shit for his portrayal of Anakin in the prequel trilogy, and maybe some of it's justified in the sense that he's not great.
Is James Earl Jones reprising his role, like his?
I don't know anything about that. I mean, presumably if we're getting Vader, James Earl Jones has to be involved because Hayden, I respect Hayden's affinity for being in the suit. Like I think he really, really wanted to be in the suit at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And presumably that'll be true if he is, in the Vader suit, that he would actually himself be portraying it. But he cannot do the voice. You gotta have it. You gotta have someone else do the voice. So and James Earl Jones is the man to do that.
I hope we get, because we haven't seen. Well, we did get a glimmer of it in Rogue One. Just brutal, badass Vader.
Yeah.
And I hope that's the vein. I mean, I don't think you'll ever go back to the slow, meandering Vader. You know what I mean? There's no reason to go back to that.
Right.
So I hope this is another on-screen look at why everyone fears Vader as much as, because I mean he was a brutal leader in the original trilogy and stuff. But I hope we just get a just brutal look at Vader.
Yeah, I think that would be great. More whether it's in this or Obi-Wan particularly, where we know that he'll be Vader for sure. Right. This one could just be strictly, Clone Wars era flashbacks. But then I don't know how they'll do that too, because Rosario Dawson, wouldn't make sense for a Clone Wars era Ahsoka. So you either recast her or de-age her, or however you do that. I don't know. That's the tricky thing I think for them to figure out. So I don't know. He'll be back in some capacity. Maybe he'll be force ghosting about. I guess he could technically do that because they changed his ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi to be creepy Anakin. So I guess he could just pull that look off.
Or maybe he's just. Well, yeah, it's true. It's Mandalorian. Ooh, yeah. I don't know.
Let's say the timeline doesn't really add up. So it's got to be flashbacks or visions or something. I don't know. Maybe he's in it for an episode and that's that. I don't know. Guess we'll just wait and see. I think this is a good ways off. Starting production next year. Starts production next year, so probably a 2023-ish debut for the Ahsoka TV show. But that's fucking awesome that they're doing it. When it comes down to it. So I think it'll be worth the wait.
Oh yeah. I'm very excited. So.
Very excited. All right, let's talk some trailers. Lots of trailers, and here is where we get into the horror trailers. I know it's almost a month after Halloween, part of the episode, but god damn it, we're just doing what we can. First one, Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City.
Resident Evil.
Biohazard. Everyone got their wish. Paul W.S. Anderson is finally off Resident Evil. He's not allowed to make these movies anymore. Mila Jovovich is not allowed to be in these movies anymore. So we're getting proper. Yeah, she's been banned. They signed a contract saying you're banned from ever doing this again. No, they didn't. I'm sure that, but after all 8 we got, and I honestly, there actually might legitimately be 8. Maybe there's only 7. I don't know. Who cares? Fuck those movies.
What was the last one? Extinction? Resident Evil Extinction?
No, I think it was the final chapter. Although maybe that wasn't actually the final chapter. Who's to say? Resident Evil, fuck you and fuck this fucking franchise.
They're the worst.
Yeah, we'll do a bonus episode on that. How's that sound?
No, that's terrible.
That's when Andrew says, "I'm done with the podcast. I refuse."
We can do a bonus episode of Monster Hunter though. That's a different franchise.
Yeah, there's only one of those too, so that's a little bit easier. No, so yeah, they're done with that. They're doing a reboot of the film franchise, one that from what it appears, seems to be sticking more closely to the video games themselves. There's a lot of video game characters appearing in this, from Chris and Claire Redfield to Jill Valentine. But the question is, does this look any better than the other Resident Evil movies that we got?
So I will say, if that's the question that you pose, I will say that the CG in this movie and some of the makeup in this movie looks cartoonishly bad, but almost to the point where it looks like almost intended a little bit. Like, just, it almost looks like B-movie-ish, which if they lean into it, maybe that's okay. Like, I mean, if that's like what you're going for, maybe you can stick the landing. Like, I think there is a potential for a compelling film here. There's the potential for a compelling video game adaptation that's much loved, and the everyone involved had a great time making, and they put their heart in it, and this is the angle they're going for. Like, I can, even the trailer and like the text and like the way they impose everything. Yeah. It's
what's going on?
Yeah, like it's cartoon. It's cartoonish, and that, I mean, if I was making a Resident Evil movie, I would go for like Romero-esque like kind of deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't be a cartoonishly fun thing if I was going for it, but it's not inherently bad that it's cartoonish looking, I think the cast looks great. I think we're gonna have this. We're gonna say that. I think I'm gonna say this probably 3 times on this podcast.
Okay.
This could either be really good, or it could be really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there will be a middle ground. Either it'll just be like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Or it's, I had a lot of fun with that. You know what I mean? And it's cool to have a lot of fun with something. There's nothing wrong with having fun with it. And it looks kind of, in my opinion, this trailer is composed in such a way to where it looks like a fun adaptation of Resident Evil. So that's my take on the trailer.
So I would say to answer my own question, it definitely looks better.
Yes, I'm sorry,
the previous film franchise. Well, I think it was implied just based on your response. I'd agree with you. I don't know if I would go so far as to say like this could be really good. Like, I think like
it could be very fun.
Could be very fun. I think that's probably the most you could ask for out of this. But there are definitely shades in this, particularly the visual effects, where I'm just like, oh, this is going to be really bad. So I appreciate, again, that they're kind of hewing more closely to the video gamey stuff in terms of the characters and the setting. They got like the mansion clearly that they're in. I think that all makes for a more promising adaptation of the Resident Evil games, but I don't know. Something is just a little bit off for me, and it's not quite fair.
The fucking CG's off.
The CG's off. I think like the trailer itself, just the way that like the text flies in, just feels very late 90s, early 2000s.
It looks fucking goofy.
And it's like, so it's like, if that's kind of what the movie's going for, like, is that really gonna? Is like, like you said, maybe that's not where you would go for it, but like, is it gonna work in and of itself? I don't know. I guess that remains to be seen. But good news is we don't have long to wait at all. This trailer came out fucking ages ago, but this movie comes out in a week. So November 24th, we'll get Resident Evil.
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch.
You're amenable to covering it. All right, you have to go to the theater for it. So.
God dang it! These theater trips are really, really cumbersome. I will admit. Bring me back. Anyways, I'm sorry. It didn't used to be a problem, and then I was introduced to streaming everything.
Oh, you're spoiled rotten.
Yep.
Yep. Exclusively in movie theaters, November 24th. I'll play a wait and see on this one. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be really bad, but I'm open to having a good time with it. So I don't want to write anything off before I see it. But November 24th, I'd be I do intend to see this, and so I think maybe there's a chance we cover this. So I don't want to commit to anything because, again, with how things have been, who's to say?
And I'll let you know.
You'll let me know whether it's worth my time. I mean, granted, I think we both have A-lists, so at least we can write it off as such. But
it's not a matter of the money anymore. It's a matter of the time.
It's a matter of, do I waste my, I've got precious few hours when I'm not working. What do I do with it? And if the answer is fucking
not go see
miserable
Hellboy.
2 hours.
Not go see.
This is why we did not watch Venom.
Time.
This is why we didn't watch the second Venom movie. We were just like, we saw the first one, fool me once, blah blah blah. Like, we're not doing it. We're like, maybe I'll watch it later when I've got more free time, and I don't even fucking know. But
we try, we as a podcast, we try to provide the most content that we can.
Yeah.
But as this podcast has aged, it's aged with us as well.
Yeah, we're too old for some of this shit.
We're working. We're entering. We're a decade away from middle aged, and shit's just not. We just don't have the time.
We don't have the time or the capacity for it all.
Right.
Not like we used to. It was a young man's game, podcasting.
Exactly. We used to complain. If we went saw Inhumans, I had to pay $20 for a movie ticket. It's like, God damn, I didn't want to spend $20 on that. Now it's, okay, I'll spend the $20 on it, but is it worth my time? The time is the problem. So I will invest my time to see if this is a decent movie, because it looks intriguing enough to me. So
okay. Well, will you similarly invest your time in this next horror film that we're getting? Scream 2022. I hate this trend of just naming the thing like
with the year.
Like Halloween did it, Candyman did it, Scream's now doing it, where it's just like, it's Scream, it's a sequel, but it's just Scream. It's like, well, no, that the original is Scream. Now I have to call this Scream followed by its year, or Scream the new one, or Scream it's the one that comes after the other ones, but it's not the first one. No, it's the one with Neve Campbell. Oh shit, she's in the first one. No, it's the one with this is confusing nomenclature, and I don't appreciate it. That's what I'll say about it. It's my official stance on it. But anyway, we're getting Scream 5, which is basically what this is. January of 2022. So do you think this is going to be worth your time? That's the question. That's the question for this one.
It looks like it might be I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't been big on the Screams. Like I think I may have seen a couple of them. It's not. I don't know. I was more like the 90s movies. I was more on, I guess. Well, I think Final Destination, was that considered a 90s movie, or is that early 2000s?
Actually, I don't remember.
I think it started late 90s, maybe.
Maybe the first one might have. The first one might have been late 90s, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't big on this movie or the original stuff. I do know about it. It does recast Dewey. Looks like it recast Dewey. Is that his name? Or is Dewey from?
That's just Dewey. He's just older now.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's still him.
I didn't know if that was a Scary Movie reference or not, but I thought it was Dewey. Anyways, that's about it.
You're at the point now where you're just conflated the Scary Movie with the actual Scream, because technically they're both kind of parodies in their own way. Just one's a little more serious than the other.
This one looks compelling enough. I mean, it looks like a genuine Scream movie. I mean,
yeah,
that's good, right?
Yeah,
that's what they're.
No, it's. So I actually am a fan of the Scream franchise. I think I watched the first 3 probably around the time that Scream 4 came out, which I think was about probably 10 years ago at this point, roughly. I think they're all pretty good. Like, they're not. I think the first one's like the best of the 3, but like they all have kind of a reason for existing, and like they're pretty compelling. Even the Scream franchise is not. It's not a straight horror kind of thing. It is kind of a parody send up of the horror genre, while also still kind of having some obvious trappings of a horror film itself. This one almost seems to be more straight horror film, so I don't know if they're just kind of drifting from kind of what it was originally into, because I mean, this one is giving me strong Halloween 2018 vibes, where it's, Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I've been ready for Michael Myers for fucking 30 years. Like, I'm going to fucking kill his ass, 40 years, whatever the fuck it's been. Here it's like, oh,
it doesn't
get
work
your
that way
gun
with Scream.
Get your gun.
They found him.
Right. I do have that kind of thought where I'm just like, oh, so someone's just dressing up as Ghostface. Is like, we're gonna murder this motherfucker. Like, whoever puts that on, like, I don't care that he's not the same person that died at the end of Scream 1 and died at the end of Scream 2 and probably died at the end of Scream 3 and 4. Like, fuck it. We're gonna murder this motherfucker because no one re-traumatizes me with this shit. Like, fuck you. Like, I did find that a little, like, because they were kind of treating it like a Michael Myers-esque figure. And I'm like, it's not really how this works. Unless that's the plot twist is, oh no, it is the same one and they just magically survived all their stab wounds and gunshot wounds from before. It's fine. It's fine getting Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, who is in fact the original Dewey. Like, it's fun having them back on board and having a bunch of youngsters in this that going to get horribly maimed and killed and all that good stuff. Like, but I think
it's got the girl from You in it. She's cool.
Okay, yeah, sure. I haven't watched it, but I believe you. I know
the girl in the beginning of the trailer is.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, so I'm as someone that likes the franchise, I'm curious to see where they take it with this one. It looks like a Scream movie. It doesn't look like it's doing anything super crazy and out there for the franchise, but as long as it kind of hits the beats that you kind of expect it to. It's been long enough since we've had a Scream movie that it won't just feel like rehash. Like Scream 4 was like a fun like digital age update for the Scream movies because those were all like late 90s, early 2000s, and so it was kind of a modernized version of it. And now it's been long enough, like, okay, fine, give us this version of it, and we'll see how it pans out.
What was the slasher flick with Jennifer Love Hewitt? Was that I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I believe so. Yeah.
I like that one. That one was good.
I think, I swear, I think there's an Amazon series like reimagining or reboot or whatever that, right? I think it's either airing right now or it's just recently finished because I feel like I've seen ads for it. I don't know. I don't need it. You know what I mean? But it's there for someone.
It's out there if you want it. Yep.
So yeah, that's Scream, January 14th, 2022. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. January might be pretty boring as a month. I actually don't know. I'm sure we'll do our inevitable previewing what's coming out, in 2022 episode. And it fortunately will just not be the same movies as the previous year like it was when we did it this year. But yeah, Scream 2022, January 14th. All right, a few more trailers. Cowboy Bebop coming to Netflix in literally 2 days. Hot. It's coming to Netflix the same day that Andrew arrives to Philadelphia.
Oh, fuck. I know how we're going to spend the first night.
November 19th. Yeah, we got an official trailer for it.
It's a dump, right?
It's a Netflix. It's a Netflix. I think it's a dump. Yeah. Yeah, official trailer here. It's an adaptation of the anime series, which I own on Blu-ray and haven't watched. And I heard great things about it. The reviews have trickled out for this, not so hot, unfortunately, for the live action.
Man.
But I do wonder how much of that is, I've seen the anime, it's better than this. This is a poor imitation of it, versus this is bad on its own merits. So, have you watched the anime?
No,
yourself?
Never seen the anime. Don't even really know the premise.
Right. So like, I wonder, does this work in a vacuum, or is it, are people kind of predisposed to be like, this isn't the thing, therefore it's not as good as the thing. So, it may just, like I said, it may just be bad. But I don't know. What was your impression? You seem hyped on it.
I thought it looked fucking cool. Yeah,
very stylish.
Awesome. Very well made trailer too. I like the jazz and the everything playing in the back.
Yeah, which what I understand is consistent with the anime, so
sounds like a really cool anime then. I
think if nothing else, if this excites you, you probably would like the anime series, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think I'm at the point where I'm just like, well, I mean, I still probably would like to watch the anime first. It feels like that's kind of the right way to do it, and then turn around and watch this at some point. But then by the time I do that, I won't watch this because it'll have been years and years since it came out on Netflix. So it's like, well, shit, what do I do then? But
yeah, so looks super stylish. I really like the red ship or whatever he hops in at the end. I thought that was fucking cool. All the spacecrafts look awesome. I like how they I kind of got a What kind of vibe did I get from this trailer? I can't remember the vibe I got, but I like the it looked like a cool character piece with the trappings of sci-fi stuff on top, right?
Yeah.
The CGI looks cool.
Yeah.
The ships look cool and well animated. The characters look like they're it looks like there's a lot of characterization in the characters, which is interesting. Particularly the main one. The main guy looks cool. You get some. It looks like you're gonna get some martial arts and stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. The cinematography looked kind of Daredevil-esque with like one shots and
the
whatnot.
action stuff. Yeah. That's fair.
So like if it's well composed and everything else with the trappings of sci-fi, that's fucking cool. Like, I mean, yes, if there's awesome characterization, we get some real meaty characters. Ultimately, that's going to define your show. But at the end of the day, I imagine they're probably 45-minute to hour episodes with probably like a 8 to 10 episode count.
Yeah, I would say around there. I don't know the specific count, but
yeah. I mean, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it concise. Cool shit in every episode, and cliffhangers at the end. I'm 100% in. Like I'm simple. I don't know anything about the anime. And the anime might be like top notch. I mean, it's super stylish, and it looks like they're. I mean, if you're telling me that jazz and everything else is a part of that, it looks like they're paying a lot of homage to the original stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the same composer as the original anime, and then I'm just looking literally at the YouTube description. Original anime series director Shinichiro Watanabe was a consultant on the series, so I think that
Who else has the last name Watanabe? That's the name that drove me down the wiki hole, and it wasn't the guy I was thinking of.
Ken. There's Ken Watanabe, who's an actor.
What's he all about? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
He was in Inception. He was the original Ra's al Ghul. And Batman Begins.
Okay. That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So
Ken Watanabe, what's he all about?
That's what he's all about. He's all about that acting. So that's what he's all about. So, all right. You ready for some more trailers? Oh yeah, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, like I said, 2 days from now, November 19th. So it by the time this goes up, it'll be out. Everyone can experience it however they choose, or they can watch the anime series, which is maybe I don't know, maybe it's on Crunchyroll or Funimation or one of those things, or you can buy the Blu-ray like me and not watch it. You know, do you. So, you ready to move on to some other news?
Other news
being some more trailers, but of course, Lightyear teaser trailer, one of Pixar's next films. In which we see the origin story of a space ranger, aka, basically the origin story of Buzz Lightyear. Before we see the toy version of him in Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4. What did you think about this?
So, fun fact, before I get into it, I read this on the YouTube comments because I didn't exactly know what it was all about. YouTube commenter said that an interview with the director said that this was the movie that Andy saw in Toy Story that made him want to buy the toy.
Which I think that's super fun.
That's super fucking great, right? That's awesome.
That's neat. Yeah, I love that.
And that was the thing. How does this fit in? Like, what's the angle here? And that fits in like a glove. I mean, it's perfect. Movie looks cool. Looks well animated.
Got some Bowie.
Yeah, I'm 110% on this. 110%. Very, actually, dare I say, very excited for a Buzz Lightyear animated movie based off of the fictional world of Buzz Lightyear.
I mean, it's basically you take the costume design and the fact that he's clearly like a sci-fi hero. Presumably, will also get him facing off against. Was it Zurg, Emperor Zurg, or whatever?
Maybe.
Surely
that's the bad guy.
A version of that. You know what I mean? Like that.
What does that version of Zurg look like?
I don't know.
Surely doesn't move around like robot Zurg.
Probably not quite like that. But and this Buzz doesn't quite look, his he's got like a butt chin, but he doesn't have like a fucking spiral, like a literal spiral for a chin. So there are clearly some design differences there. But
your toy Wolverine doesn't look like Hugh Jackman exactly either.
No,
so that's okay.
he's like slightly off Hugh Jackman. Like we couldn't quite get the rights to Hugh Jackman, so we got. I don't know. Pew Jack?
Hugh Jackman.
Pew Jackman. That was a very funny joke. Everyone laugh. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I'm not a stand-up comedian. What do you want from me? All right. This is my fucking side gig, all right? Thank you. Anyway, summer 2022, we're getting Lightyear. I think it looks appropriately epic. I think Pixar doing like what appears to be a straight sci-fi kind of film. Like, actually, that's really fucking cool.
We haven't seen it since WALL-E, man. And WALL-E was groundbreaking. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what Pixar brings out with Lightyear. So we'll pick the conversation back up whenever we get a fuller trailer that I'm sure we'll more fully explore kind of what's going on with it. But for now, we'll just have to talk about another trailer. We'll have to talk about House of Gucci, another one coming very soon, coming to theaters this Thanksgiving. And I guess technically we're really continuing the conversation we had about it, because I believe you brought up Jared Leto's new look that he sports in this film. So
provided by one
the one and only
Ridley Scott.
The one and only Ridley Scott. What else could he do but bury this man in makeup and make him unrecognizable, which honestly, it's Jared Leto, and I think that's not the worst idea that you could do. You
could also just cast Dr. Phil with fucking hair extensions. Honestly,
yeah. It's. I mean, he's unrecognizable. He's not quite as uncanny valley as like the original Kevin Spacey makeup was for.
I don't know, dude. I watched the trailer well before we were talking about it here, and it's like,
he doesn't look like a real person. No, I will say that.
It's not natural at all.
Especially juxtaposed against everyone else who has just gone through normal hair and makeup, and so they look a little ridiculous and like, a little off themselves, but they look like fucking normal people, they look like
something's wrong
made
with
up
this
people.
guy.
This guy's like, what's wrong with your face? That's like that's pretty much it's Guy Pearce and Prometheus. It is shades of anytime Ridley Scott says, well, what if I just put this 40-year-old man in makeup and make him look like a fucking 80-year-old man, like and no one has the wherewithal, because Ridley Scott's an old ass motherfucker who just apparently does whatever the hell he wants to. And no one steps in and says, actually, why don't you just cast someone that looks like this fucking character? Which, I will say, we talked about the Batman on the Dune episode, and Colin Farrell is unrecognizable there. And I think actually, in a way, it works pretty well.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way to do this, but it depends on what company does it. I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, Ridley, why don't we hire new makeup? Who's the Batman guy? Let's get that guy.
Get the Batman guys instead of Ridley Scott just doing it himself. That's what it is. He's just doing it himself. He goes on set every day and does it himself. So, anyway, I think that it's fair to say that anytime Jared Leto is on screen, it's going to pull you out of the film ever so slightly, perhaps more than ever so slightly. But beyond his ridiculousness, does House of Gucci seem like anything you're in for?
The Italian accents almost strike me as Jared Leto accents. They're almost as I don't know about this movie, man. I'll be honest with you. It looks like maybe it's a compelling story.
This is one for me that's definitely either really good or really bad. I think this one fits that description to a T.
So
I really don't know what to make of it.
It's almost like, Alita Battle Angel, like once you like,
are you going to be able to get used to it? And then if you do, maybe it's fun.
So if like the accents and Jared Leto's makeup, maybe if it's, maybe if I can get like, I don't know, just engrossed in what's going on, then maybe I can check it out the door and just enjoy how it's written. Cause like you said, it could be very good. But if I can't get engrossed in what's going on and I'm constantly distracted by poor accents and Jared Leto, then we might have a serious problem on our hands here. So
yeah, it'd be a real Dear Evan Hansen situation.
Because I imagine it's not a short movie. It doesn't look like a movie that's short.
I'm sure. No, this feels like a 3-hour drag it all out kind of epic. Because that's what Ridley Scott does, to be fair, is he makes long movies and they're occasionally really fucking good, and sometimes they're Alien Covenant. So,
you get what you get,
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I heard good things about The Last Duel. Never saw it. Ben Affleck looked fucking ridiculous. So did Matt Damon.
It's the same makeup.
Same thing.
Ridley Scott, what are you doing?
But
those fucking wigs were terrible. Where'd you get those, man?
He did it himself, I'm telling you. Got it out of his bathroom at home. Brought it to
damn
set.
it, Ridley.
I got some bleach for you, Ben. Let me bleach your hair real quick, my bud.
Why don't you get over here? Fucking Ridley Scott, 80 years old. Get on over here, Ben. I'm going to get some bleach for you.
Oh, Lord. But yeah. Thanksgiving, House of Gucci. Look, I am curious. I'll say officially on the record, I'm curious. Lady Gaga's great. Adam Driver is great. Jeremy Irons is great. Al Pacino is great. Jared Leto is Jared Leto.
I'll tell you another thing I don't really appreciate. This it's a new thing where the trailers give little itty bitty little trailers before they just go ahead and give you the trailer.
Yeah, this is
fucking infuriating.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, it's like, here's all the good. I mean, I think it's less prevalent with this one because it's like,
a line.
This one's like the line of dialogue, and then you just hear it 2 minutes later. I'm like, well, I just fucking heard that line of dialogue. Now it doesn't, like, now it just feels repetitive at this point. Like, why is this in here twice?
What are they doing?
But if it's like, if it's like a big superhero movie, then it's like, here's the fucking coolest shots in the whole trailer. Oh, here they are in the first 3 seconds. Oh, and then we'll scale it back. It's like, oh well, okay. I could have just waited 2 minutes. That would have been fine. I would have been able to do it. I was not going to lose interest.
I clicked on your link to fucking watch it. I don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a very dumb trend. I think it's a YouTube ad thing, where it's just like, we got to hook people in the first 3 seconds so they don't immediately skip ad, fuck you, skip ad. You know what I mean? Like, but
the internet's ruining everything. God damn it.
Basically.
It's the worst.
I blame you, Zuckerberg.
Him and his metaverse.
Aliens. Him and his metaverse, goddamn aliens. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, House of Gucci. Yeah, I'll check it out probably. Will we cover this? I don't know. This one feels like probably not, but
maybe.
I don't know.
It's good.
Maybe we do. Maybe we got nothing better to do on Thanksgiving. Maybe we're done eating food, and we want to record. I guess we'd have to go see it first. We'd be done eating food, and then we go see it, and then we'll.
Hey fam, let's go watch House of Gucci. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that'll play. Anyway, final piece of news, final trailer, official trailer for season 2 of The Witcher, which I think we talked about. I think the teaser probably when it came out, so it's not the first time we're talking about season 2, but comes December 17th to Netflix. I think this will definitely be a dump, on all at once dump. And Henry Cavill's back. He's Geralt of Rivia. He's witchering about. Ciri's in it. She's a little older. There probably won't be the jumping timeline bullshit that we got before. So yeah, I don't know. Are you getting excited for some more Witcher?
Very hype. Very, very hyped about this one. This one looks like they I don't know. It almost looks like they expanded the budget a little bit, unless they're just pouring all the good shit in the trailer.
I thought this looked great, production value wise.
Yeah.
The music choice for the trailer was questionable, but like in terms of what the show itself is going to be, I thought it looked fantastic. I think even compared to, we've been getting a lot of like Wheel of Time trailers and stuff.
It's right up there with
popping up a lot, and I think it looks great. But I think there's moments in the Wheel of Time that look kind of cheap to me, and like The Witcher doesn't really look cheap to me.
No,
and I'm sure they have probably, I would say, comparable budgets, but yeah, this looks. Production value wise, at a minimum, I think it looks great from that standpoint.
For sure. Witcher looks Geralt of Rivia looks cool as always. You get you get a long drawn out sequence of him hacking some guys up with the sword, which is cool. It looks like there's a lot more magic in this, which is also cool. It looks like a lot of cool shit. Fantasy setting. I'm said it before when we covered The Witcher. You know, it's an area that doesn't got a lot of scratching on the itch. But this show scratched an itch when I watched it the first time. Excited for season 2.
Yeah, I mean it's fully been like 2 years since we got season 1, right?
Yeah,
hasn't it been that long? Yeah,
I think so.
Like I think it's been long enough that like now I'm at the point where I'm just like, oh shit, like I'm like ready for this. Like I'm totally into it. And like I will probably watch The Wheel of Time, or at least start it before I get into this. So maybe it'll be in fantasy overload at some point. But yeah, it's really been long enough since that first season where I've sat with it, where I'm just like, yeah, it wasn't perfect. You know, it needed some work, but it's overall, cool. There's a lot of cool shit. And this trailer promises even more cool shit. And I think that it's hopefully going to be a more cohesive package just because of the direction that it's going in, with a hopefully more linearly told story. I think that'll do wonders for this. Henry Cavill looks awesome. You know, the swordplay looks awesome. The big fucking tree monster thing, Groot at the end, that was badass. Cool. Love that. You know, so it looks just like my shit. And I think that it looks like a really, really well done, well shot version of things that I like and want to see. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it, you know, and I think it's almost getting into, I think it's still, I would presume, adapting book material. You know, there was a lot of like the short stories that were adapted in that first season. Now we're kind of getting to the point where I'm like, I don't really know where the story goes with a lot of these little tales, and you know, whether if it's going to be that more cohesive storyline. It's getting into the books that I've never read from the Witcher book series. So anyway, December 17th, this comes to Netflix. Definitely something I'll be watching. I think Andrew as well. So perhaps we'll return for some more coverage of The Witcher in the near future, not the super near future, but in the near future, nonetheless. So yeah, any other final thoughts on The Witcher season 2?
Nothing. That's all I got.
Well, then it is time for us to turn our attention to What If. Well, you know, I'm sure that our keen.
I need a Jeffrey Wright impression first.
Wait for it.
Okay.
Unless someone else wants to offer it. And when I say someone else, I do mean, of course, Henrique Jaime, who is back with us. Our keen-eared listeners would have noticed his absence on this Marvel Cinematic Universe episode, and so we couldn't do it without bringing him in some capacity. Scheduling has been. Let's just say our schedules aren't aligning too well, but we're able to make some version of this work, and so we're bringing him in to talk about What If. Right now, we're going to talk about What If. So welcome back, and everyone settle in, because we got some What If to talk about, and lots of good things to talk about here.
Yeah, you could say I've been watching this whole time and listening, and now I might intervene. Maybe.
I cannot, must not.
I may intervene. All right.
So let's talk about it. What If was it still exists. It's a Disney Plus animated show. It's the first animated project for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, created by A.C. Bradley, directed all 9 episodes of it by Brian Andrews. It stars almost everyone from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not everyone. There are a few notable, absences, some voice replacements that are just like, it doesn't quite sound right. It's probably because it's not actually them. So I think I'll try to include talking about the actors, particularly when we get into spoilers, because we'll probably just go through each episode briefly, and so I can kind of set it up there. But, Chadwick Boseman, obviously part of the voice cast here. That's obviously a big deal. I know that when we talked about the trailers for this that we did make mention of the fact that this was his last. I think it's just his last project entirely, and certainly his last entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as an incarnation of T'Challa, which we'll talk about that too. So what if? It's famous events, characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that have been reimagined in unexpected ways, or to satisfy Andrew's desires. Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a prism of endless possibility, where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the one you know. I am the Watcher. I am your guide through these vast new realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Ooh, chilling.
Yeah, and the great part is the listeners will just like, wow, that sounded perfect. Yeah, I'm just going to drop in the actual bit from the show. No one will notice the difference.
What an impression!
I was just going to read that straight up. I honestly thought that was a better synopsis than anything I found online. I was just like, it's the fucking intro of the show. It kind of tells you, it tells you everything you know in a super succinct and badass way with Jeffrey Wright leading the show. I guess we should say in terms of starring, Jeffrey Wright is the man kind of leading the show. Jeffrey Wright is the Watcher. He's your guide through these vast new realities, as he himself states. So that's certainly important to point out. But what if 9 episodes? It's a first for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with it being this animated show. Each episode's pretty standalone, I think, overall. But how did you guys feel about Kevin Feige and company stepping into new territory with What If? Did it meet your hopes and dreams based on the trailers and such? Whoever wants to go, doesn't matter to me.
We'll kick it off to Henrique. What do you got?
Sure. So I feel like this show is both very different from what the MCU has been before, but also very familiar. And it can probably satisfy both types of fans, although maybe it plays something more in the middle. And I guess meaning the fans that probably wanted something very out there, kind of like the comics. So obviously with What If in the comics, there are kind of these one-off stories that you can do whatever. It doesn't necessarily have consequences to the main canon. But again, this is the MCU's version of What If, so we'll see later on that these events may tie into the greater canon. So it kind of plays that fine line, that balancing act almost of being familiar to the MCU fans, but also giving you something different, something that you might not have seen before, something that they maybe can't do in live action. And in regards to the animation, they definitely tried to make it reflect the live action as well. You can clearly tell that the characters are inspired by their live action counterparts. And I think sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't always, only because they have a lot of the voice cast come back for this, but not everybody. So when the character on the screen looks just like the character you're used to seeing or the actor or actress you're used to seeing, but then the voice is different, then it kind of seems a little off. So, it works in some ways again, but the animation was fine for me. I can't say that this is the greatest animation, Miyazaki level, Pixar, or anything like that, but it's by no means bad. And a lot of animation can just be personal preference, it's an art style, but I think it's fine and it does what it has to do. What do you think?
So, I like the show. I think it's cool. I think that it's, God, what was the Watcher watching before Loki? That's my question.
Wait, what?
Before Loki.
Just all of space and time forever.
But space and time was contained within that ring until the end of the Loki show, and it started to go fucking crazy, right?
I guess we're assuming that this takes place after the end of Loki.
That's why I assumed it. I assumed it did.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I think traditionally the comic book versions of What If is just like, it's all non-canon, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Loki mild spoilers, I guess, for the end of Loki, basically set up the fucking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for lack of a better way to put it. Multiverse, yes, multiverse. And so any one thing that happened and what if any reality that we saw is now on the table of because there's different versions of reality. So I don't really know how this fits.
According to the
timeline.
Wikipedia, it says following the creation of the multiverse in season 1 finale of Loki. What if explores and that's according to, I mean, of course that's according to Wiki, but
sure.
There's some footnotes there, so they're citing something for that. So,
yeah. So I mean, if that's
it makes sense.
Yeah,
if that's the case, and there was a multiverse before Loki, it was just
true.
It was just managed, right? So, I mean, I guess it could come before or after, but presuming it takes place after because it's the MCU and we're introduced to the multiverse with Loki. It's a really cool continuation of the MCU, and I think it's a really cool premise to make it animated because we haven't had an animated feature. Now we're exploring the multiverse, but now we're exploring it not only different timelines and stuff within the MCU, but we're exploring it in an entirely different medium, which I think makes it even more fascinating because they're exploring it. I mean, like I said, in a completely different medium. It's animated versus live action, which is cool. So I think for a couple of different reasons, it's a really cool direction for. I mean, just a radically different piece from Marvel. And I praise the creativity. Oftentimes, I mean, I feel like superhero stuff gets kind of, I guess, typecasted or whatever the case is, or whatever you would call it, for being one particular kind of thing, right?
Sure.
And this is still that particular kind of thing, but it plays really fast and loose with established properties. And I like I said, I praise the creativity because it does go in radically crazy places. So yeah, I like what it does for the MCU. I think it offers a whole lot. It expands on existing properties in big ways. It expands on the existing universe in a big way. And it kind of, I don't know, makes you think about the multiverse and how that and how other beings can be involved in such a thing, and just expands what we know from Marvel in the MCU in a big way. So that's cool. That's some cool shit.
I bet I can guess your favorite episode later once we get into the episodes.
I think I
have one in mind that I'll bring up later. But
we'll see. We'll see, because it's been a little bit. I imagine the conversation's going to come up on our favorite episodes. I think about it.
Yeah. So a couple things to talk about. Yes, this is definitely coming a little bit later after the. I mean, the show's probably been done for a month, so we're fully in reminiscing territory. It's not fresh in our minds or anything like that, but we're doing the best we can. And I think that the episodes themselves, even if moment to moment we're not remembering everything, they're pretty memorable. Like the concepts themselves, stand out. They're high concept enough that they you'll remember it if you think about it. The other thing is, I was following up on the Wikipedia footnote, and there's an interview with, I believe it's a producer of the show, executive producer Brad Winderbaum, who says that it's no coincidence that the show picks up right after Loki. The multiverse has erupted in every possible direction, and What If gives us a chance to explore that. So there you go. That's that. I think pretty definitively ties it into the greater MCU of being this is animated, but it's still legit in its own way because the multiverse is every almost imaginable possibility, and here's just 9 that we've decided to bring to life so you can see for yourself.
Perhaps after the creation of the multiverse, that's why the Watcher's so interested in
I guess the question was, what was he doing before? He's just
it's okay, there's just this one timeline. I'm gonna go over here and look at this other shit.
I guess there were other timelines, like in Loki, they were just getting if they weren't the the right timeline, they were getting snipped here and there, just kind of trimming the little perfect timeline.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Anymore.
Now
all
it's
bets
a whole
are off.
bunch of just
the Watcher's
chaos.
sitting there watching his TV, and then after
watching
it
his Disney
explodes,
Plus.
it just his home erupts in televisions.
he goes from having just one channel like, on cable to having like Netflix and HBO and Disney Plus, and it was like
he's a boomer.
I can do it all.
The Watcher's a boomer.
It's basically Captain America getting frozen in time and then waking up, in the modern era and just being like, what is this shit? What the fuck? Yeah, that's pretty much it. But almost that on like an infinite scale. Right. Unimaginable scale. It's great stuff. So yeah, what do I think about What If? It's good. I think it's hit and miss. I think that some episodes work better than others. I think due to the nature of it, where everything's pretty standalone. I think that certain episodes are going to appeal to audiences in different ways. And so I think Henrique and I have a suspicion about the one that appealed the most to Andrew, and we'll talk about that in spoilers. We'll do a favorite episode to close it out, maybe. I liked most of them. I liked some of the concepts of them. Some of it is a little too... It's the same thing, like but it's safe. A different character. Safe sometimes, where it's just, it's just kind of a retelling with like a very slight twist. And then some of it's just like totally...
Fucking like, out there.
Totally out there, going crazy. And so I was worried after like the first... I was worried that it was going to feel like, what if X was Y? And there's a lot of that in this, but it's a lot more than that too. So it does go into some pretty crazy different directions, some pretty fun directions. I actually did like the animation style, as it turned out. I wasn't sold on it from the trailers, I think, personally. But I think that it did a pretty good job of adapting. I think like you talked about, the MCU kind of look. And, and you have a variety of settings and everything in this, and I think that it kind of captures that all pretty well.
I like the kinetic action. It's got some. Yeah. It's not like Japanese kinetic action, but one episode in particular, there's a lot of really cool shit to be appreciated. I think
you're not seeing the creativity in the animation styles that we saw from like Star Wars Visions or anything like that. Obviously, it's all pretty consistent and kind of this 3D animated style. So it's not, it's not artistically like the most amazing thing, but I think it works in service of what the stories are intended to be. But yeah, I think just otherwise, the voice acting, I think, is also hit and miss. Some actors are just better at voice acting than others, and then they have actual voice actors for some stuff, and that stands out, I think, in its own way too. So overall, I think I enjoyed it. This one for me, I know we've had conversations in the past about, the weekly drops versus, binging, that sort of thing.
Right.
I didn't mind waiting week to week for this one because everything really was pretty different in its own kind of concept. Andrew probably disagrees because that's not his jam, I'm sure, but I don't know.
Actually, so I watched it sporadically.
Okay.
I watched.
Yeah, I did too. I think kind of like I waited until like 2 or 3 were banked up, and then I watched them like one day, and then like one in a couple days from that. And
so in that sense, like that. I didn't. To maybe to your surprise, I didn't feel the need to grind this out. Mm-hmm. If it was available, I would have. But with the release, how it released it weekly or whatever, I'd revisit. For example, if the last episode was a I don't want to call it a dud, but if it was a talk instead of a tick, I would. I just might wait for a couple more TikToks. You know what I mean? In order to find my rhythm again. So
yeah. So I don't know that I have anything else too substantively about the show and non-spoilers. I think it's kind of exactly as advertised in some ways, and like I said, I think that you're probably likely to find something to your liking in here. I mean, I think that there's probably a general presumption that you give a shit about the MCU and that you've seen most of these things, because it's gonna be riffing on like very specific things, like Episode 1 is very much a Captain America, the First Avenger, what if that movie went in a different direction, and and Episode 2 is I mean, there's a lot of T'Challa. Like, it's a spin on Guardians of the Galaxy, but it kind of goes into different directions, pulls in a few characters from other movies that had more integral roles. So it does go into weird and different places, and sometimes it explores totally out of the bounds of what we've seen in the MCU thus far, and that's kind of interesting in its own right. But yeah, I think it's kind of I think it probably lends itself to more of a niche kind of audience. Overall, I think certainly compared to your WandaVisions, your Falcon and the Winter Soldiers, your Lokis, like, if you loved like the weird timey-wimey shenanigans you got in Loki, like this is a pretty good follow-up to have, but
I think if you liked WandaVision, you have a pretty good chance
too.
to like.
That's probably true too.
Because WandaVision was
a little different each week.
Yeah, and it was wildly creative.
True. The episodic format of that is close to this. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I think you definitely have to be a fan of the MCU to enjoy this, to go into it. Like, this is not your introduction to it. It's like it's kind of like the remix, right? Like, you gotta enjoy the original to be able to have fun with the remix.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, that's what I got. Any other non-spoiler thoughts?
No.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's talk some recommendation. We have very yes, totally fine, and shithouse available as options for recommending what if to the listeners. So, Henrique, why don't we kick back to you first? How are you going to classify what if?
Sure. So I enjoyed this. I would say I watched it mostly week to week, usually as it came out. But I also wasn't like waiting for it like in the first like second that it dropped, kind of like Loki. Even I guess just more the episodic nature of the other shows, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So that's what I'm kind of torn, because I feel like as a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, I'm more inclined to say this is a yes show. Overall, I feel like because certain things worked a little bit less, it also is kind of somewhere in the totally fine realm for me. So kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of hedging, but somewhere in between. Like, I don't know, hard to. If you point a gun to my head, I'll pick one. But if I can weasel my weight out and say somewhere in between those two, I'll say that.
Okay, so if we're gonna create a sixth ranking, should we call it totally yes or yes fine?
I think yes fine. This is a yes fine for me.
It's yes fine. Yes fine.
Yes fine. I'll use it for this. I'll try not to keep reusing that.
All right.
That's my take.
All right, fair enough. Andrew, what do you think?
For me, I think this is a yes show. It is kind of inconsistent with the with the, I don't know, the characterization and the impacts of those characters and that sort of thing. But I think when it hits pretty solid. I think the animation, like you were saying, I think the animation's good. I think it lends itself well to what it's trying to do. The animation's consistent across the board. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking, but at the same time, I think it's totally good. And I say yes for just thank you for making it, right? I think it's awesome that Marvel or the MCU is dabbling in other mediums, particularly animation, to make content. I think there's stories that can only be told in the animated style or medium. Can't think of my words. So I say yes. I'm thankful that it was made. I think that certain episodes, when they hit really solid. Other episodes are totally fine. And I think the other episodes, the other third of those episodes are like heady episodes, and they leave you dwelling on what if and like the nature of the MCU and the universe and the multiverse or whatever. And for that, I'm thankful too. So for me, it's a yes show. It doesn't blow my socks off. Some episodes I was eager to go back the next week, and I would watch it the second I could watch it when I got back if the last episode was good. And if it let me down, it's like, okay, I'll wait a couple weeks and just catch up later. You know what I mean? But there are episodes that left me biting at the bit for more. So I think it's a little inconsistent, but it's a yes show for me.
I agree with Andrew, and I think overall the inconsistency is what holds it back from being a very yes show, but at the same time it's also what takes it above the totally fine range for me. I think you've got a few episodes in the bunch that are very yeses, you've got some that are yeses, and you've got some that are totally fine. Right. I think the floor is probably totally fine. I don't think anything in here
it averages.
Really
nothing's egregious.
Yeah, you know, there's stuff that's just like, oh, it was all right. I spent 30 minutes with it. You know, none of these are too long. Nothing overstays its welcome. So you have a decent time, and then you move on, or you're like, that was cool. That was really fucking cool. Or like, oh, that was fucking sick. You know, like you kind of get a little bit of that. So yes, it averages out. I think that, you know, it averages out to about a yes show. It's certainly not it's not my favorite Disney Plus MCU show that we've gotten, but I you know, like Andrew was talking about, I appreciate that they went for it with this one, and you know, it's a clever use of resources to tell stories that probably wouldn't be able to be told otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, you can do comics of these, you could do books of these, but hey, you know, doing an animated show, like, that's cool. And so I hope that we're going to get another season of this. That's already been confirmed. But I hope that Marvel is okay with using animation as a storytelling format for other things too. I think it's really well suited for something like this. But I think that they could definitely use it to great effect with other things. And, you know, and if they experiment with animation styles and stuff like that, I think that would be great too. So, yeah, it's a yes show. It's a yes show overall. So, who wants to talk some spoilers?
All right.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Full spoilers for What If? Episode 1. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? Yeah, we'll just do just some quick thoughts on each episode, and then maybe we'll end it with a favorite episode. So this one's got Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter / now Captain Carter, as we see in this episode. Sebastian Stan as Bucky. Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, Stanley Tucci as Erskine, and a few others. So yeah, how'd you guys feel about episode 1?
Sorry, I was just thinking about the SNL skit about Stanley Tucci, the music video that they do, and you just need to go look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. But so, what if episode 1? Well, I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I enjoyed it. I like me some Peggy Carter. I think Haley Atwell's been great in that role from day one, and she's great here. It's a little like close to the movie, whereas like it's basically her kind of taking Steve's role.
Yeah, it's close to a carbon copy with just a different character, kind of, you know. And I think Tommy Lee Jones isn't in it, so you got actual Bradley Whitford in his place or whatever.
Like, I think this is fun, but I guess I enjoy the episodes where it's like, what if some crazy shit, or like, what if this little thing becomes way different? So as much as I enjoyed Captain Carter, it just wasn't too different. So I was like, this is a safe kind of intro into it, maybe. Yeah,
totally agree. Andrew?
Yes, I think it's the perfect intro for a what if shit was just a little bit different. It's almost like you step on a butterfly in prehistoric times and you get the butterfly effect or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You get one subtle difference, and then
exactly.
Captain Carter is chopping off the fucking tentacles of an ancient being getting summoned through the portal. That shit didn't happen.
That was cool.
You know what? Yeah, you get like one little thing that's different. One little... I'm getting in the thing instead of you or whatever.
Well, and I think I liked it, and I feel like it wasn't in all the episodes, but this one like made a very concerted point of like, that's it. That's the moment things changed. Like, it didn't do it as much for that. It was just like, oh, you kind of get it. Like, this is different than what you saw before. But even though this is safe and it is kind of just a general redux of Captain America, the first Avengers plot, it's still cool because fucking Peggy Carter's a badass and she's great. And like seeing her as
you get like punching the like she's just like reveling in her new abilities and stuff, and she's flipping cars.
She's just so fun. You know, it's a smart approach to ease your audience in, because everyone knows Captain America's, you know, storyline at this point, front and back. So even though this is kind of the same beats, pretty much almost beat for beat, you know, it's a different personality, you know, taking the reins. So it's really fun.
Steve riding on the back of a fucking Iron Man tank.
Oh, that's
thing?
true. Yeah. And Steve's still
Piloting,
heavily
he's
involved.
piloting him, isn't he? Yeah, and she's hiding.
Yeah, as the Hydra Stomper.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked about this episode that they touch upon later too is the love story that they focus on between Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter. We obviously get this in the first Avenger, but that one is really more Steve's movie, and this one where the roles are flipped, and instead of him becoming Captain America, she becomes Captain Carter. Even though there was that change, their love story essentially stayed the same. And I really like that because it just reinforces their connection and chemistry, especially given the fact that in this one, he stays as scrawny little Steve. So, it's easy to see why in the first Avenger that Peggy Carter was swooning over the big buff Chris Evans. But in this case, it's a little bit different, and the love story is the same, though. So that was one thing in particular that I really enjoyed about this episode.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they gave Steve a heavy role, even though he was still skinny Steve. That was appreciated. It proves that he's just a hero. And his heart, he's a hero, whether or not he's physically up to the task or not.
Yeah.
Just put him in a big fucking metal suit. He's fine. So any other thoughts on that, or should we move along?
That episode. It was a good episode.
Yeah, it was good start, good fun, really enjoyed it. Peggy's great. So episode 2, what if T'Challa became a Star-Lord? Chadwick Boseman here as Star-Lord T'Challa. There's a lot of Guardians adjacent actors in this. Michael Rooker as Yondu, Josh Brolin's back as Thanos, Benicio del Toro as the Collector, Kurt Russell as Ego. The whole fucking Black Order is in this.
Thanos,
Karen Gillan, Nebula, Djimon Hounsou, John Connie as T'Chaka, and a few others. Seth Green as Howard the Duck, very important. This is I think this one breaks the mold, in a way. It's a character transplant again. It's a very much what if someone else was Star-Lord. But I think by virtue of it being T'Challa, like they really embrace that and be like, okay, the universe will be completely fucking different because you don't have a fucking dingus being Star-Lord and Peter Quill, And I think Thanos' personality alone is like proof positive of like how different the world became with T'Challa's influence seeded throughout not just Wakanda but throughout the whole fucking galaxy. It's really interesting.
Right.
Anyway, what do you guys got?
It was really good. I think this one brought a tear to my eye. I think one of these brought a tear to my eye.
This is a Chadwick Boseman episode. So
I mean, that alone it might be enough to bring a tear to the eye. Is listening to him, and he's good. Obviously, it would have really hurt if he was not a good voice actor, but he's good. He's really good. He's still fundamentally T'Challa, but a fun send up of T'Challa, outside of the power struggles of Wakanda, and basically being a fun Ravager, like making the Ravagers themselves like a pretty good force for change. It's just fun. He's great in it. It was great to hear his voice, and as it turns out, not just in this episode as well. That was appreciated too.
Yeah. No, like you're saying, this was almost a small change. Just swap one character out for another, but it became so different. Like this is such a different episode than the movies, and I know you covered a whole episode on Chadwick Boseman, but he was so great. Like just the difference between like the T'Challa that we get in the movies and this T'Challa, it's like a completely different character. Just like embraces the Star-Lord persona, like so witty, and like you said, like Thanos is now like he didn't kill half the universe because basically T'Challa convinced him not to. Like, oh man.
I like the little bit there where he's like, "Hey, Father, I went and I can't remember. Like you say, it's reminiscing now, but there's a bit in there where he talks about, I wanted to see the world, and now I can see the universe and stuff, and it was like really touching. And then you get the send off at the end. It's like, oh my god, my heart can't take it. I'm fucking crying. Sarah comes out, and I'm weeping at the cartoon credits. Like, sorry.
I think if anything, like animation makes you cry more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. He just dials that shit something right in.
Yeah, he just hits at those heartstrings. But
every time.
No, this is what like I don't know, very honorable. This is obviously not his last performance, like you said, but just great send off to the late Chadwick Boseman. Really, really enjoyed this. It's just so fun. Like, I think this is a great like celebration episode to play in hindsight. And I'd listened to some interviews, or I can't remember if they were like reading off interviews with Feige and co about this series. I think I want to say it was on Empire, I believe, the podcast, but they were talking about creating the show and creating it before, obviously, Chadwick disclosed that he was ill, because he decided to keep that in mostly secret. So the show gets made afterwards, and they decide that they still want to put it out there because everyone was in agreement that he knew what he was dealing with, and he still wanted to pursue it. So they had to show the world like his last bits. So I really appreciate that we get him here in other episodes. But great episode for T'Challa, but really the whole crew. Like, love Nebula in this, Karen Gillan. Love Thanos. He was legitimately hilarious.
Fight at the end, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved fucking Benicio del Toro. Just like jacked, with the muscles and like using all his entire collection to fight. Like, that was awesome.
Cool
like,
as shit.
Yeah, that when I saw this, I was like, this is what I signed up for. Like, this is my jam.
What if the collector was jacked?
Alternate title.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's taking one thing and then running with it, because it's like you make one change and then it's just like, but all this, it's not Guardians of the Galaxy with T'Challa dropped into Star-Lord's role.
No, it's so different.
It's the universe of Guardians of the Galaxy with T'Challa wearing a Star-Lord costume, and then everything else is just playing fast and loose with everything that we've seen from the MCU. So yeah, it's really cool. This one I think is the first one that sets up the idea, or it's kind of, a lot of these end with like and then the universe was fucked.
Kind of cliffhangers, yeah.
Basically just being like, everything was great and then it wasn't. And this one is like Ego showing up with the useless fucking Peter Quill, just being like, all right, this is gonna work out, pretty well. So that was pretty good. But yeah. All right, episode 3.
Right.
What if the world lost its mightiest heroes? Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, Jeremy Renner, as Hawkeye, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, Hiddleston as Loki, Tom Hiddleston, Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, Jamie Alexander as Sif, and a couple notable recasts, sort of. Lake Bell as Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow, and Mick Wingert as Tony Stark / Iron Man. But fortunately, Black Widow is pretty heavily present throughout most of this episode.
Right.
Iron Man, not so much. He's off pretty quickly.
No, Iron Man did not do well in this show, I gotta say.
The whole series, you mean? Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not just this episode.
Alternate title.
But,
what if Tony Stark died in basically every episode that he was in?
They're like, in case you didn't get the end of Endgame, Tony Stark is dead, and we're going to keep killing him.
He's going to be dead in every goddamn version of the multiverse.
Every universe, there's no Tony Stark.
There's one fixed point. There's a fixed point. Tony Stark must die.
Yeah.
Absolute point. I'm sorry, I used the wrong lingo.
Absolute
but, we'll get to that next episode. So yeah, episode 3. What do you guys got on this one?
Shit was pretty bleak.
Yeah. Avengers fucking getting off.
Although, I will say, I absolutely love the inclusion of
Incredible Hulk?
Yes. And the Incredible Hulk movie. I absolutely...
some love there for...
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And they pulled it off at the most badass moment, and one of the most badass moments in that whole movie, where he busts out of the thing and then he just
fucking explodes, right?
Oh yeah, so
man.
I guess getting to the end, can you do that? Can you just jump inside the Hulk and then
I don't know.
We'll have to ask
resize yourself? Evidently, you can.
I guess because how can the Hulk
throw
stop that?
One of those Ant-Man or Giant Man
disc,
things.
Yeah, turn tiny and then turn giant and then just
blow up his heart.
I mean, this was the whole. That
was the
fan theory
butt, right?
plot to the whole fan theory plot to Infinity War. Just go up Thanos' butt,
right?
Yeah. So they did it.
Yeah, they did it. He
didn't go up his butt, but close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Exactly.
In his ear hole. That's pretty fucking. Anyways.
Right. Yeah. Prefer nothing there.
Yeah.
And then that's all I got on that, really. I just
turns out it was just a very, very mad Hank Pym who still doesn't like Tony Stark in the Avengers, as it turns out. So that's a constant as well. But
yeah,
it was solid. Not the finest episode.
Not
in
too
the series,
crazy,
but a fun concept of, what if all the Avengers died? Well, what happens then? I guess what is it? Steve still makes it out because he's just frozen, and Carol comes along, Captain Marvel. So things might work out inevitably, but certainly a sad version of things.
And it does answer the question that Ant-Man could have easily killed Thanos.
Could have done everybody.
It's good for that one purpose alone of addressing the Buck theory.
Right.
It's canon. It's canon at this point.
No, Hank Pym could have taken everybody out.
All right, episode 4, aka Andrew's favorite episode? Question mark.
This episode's fucking incredible.
What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Benedict Cumberbatch here, Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, Tilda Swinton. And this one actually introduces a new character from the comics, which is, I think, the first time that happens in like a big way here. We get is a Ike Amadi who plays Obeng, who is Cagliostro, I think, from the comics. I think
Cagliostro.
Yeah, so perhaps I should leave it to Andrew to get into the details.
Okay, so this
what
is
do you
so
think, Andrew?
Cool, this episode, you have Doctor Strange, right? And he's doing his Doctor Strange things, and he's all wishing that Rachel McAdams would come back. And then it's kind of like the Time Machine. I don't know if you remember that movie with what's his face?
Which one?
Guy Pearce?
Guy Pearce, yep, Guy Pearce.
Oh,
and he keeps going back and back and back and back, just trying to save his lady, save his love, and he can't do it. But in this one, he goes back, he goes so far back in time. He finds the author of the mystical arts. Just finds some fucking ancient mage who has a crazy ass library. It's like,
he just starts eating like demons.
Yes. Teach me your ways. Well, there's this dark, and he goes and he finds the dark magic, and he just starts consuming interdimensional beings just to be
it's just ridiculous.
That's insane.
For hundreds of years. Like,
right.
I mean, he just does it and does it day and night, and he puts himself in like a time continuum so he doesn't age, and he just does it and does it and does it and does it and just eats away at his mind until he becomes just this monster.
Doctor Strange Supreme.
And he did do it.
Yeah.
At the expense of the entire universe.
Yeah, this is a
Doctor Strange
ending here.
is so powerful.
God damn.
He's so powerful that not given the constraints, like not just if he was just a little bit different. If he was just a little bit different, he could condemn the entire universe. That's how powerful Doctor Strange is.
He did, yeah.
And we have yet to see that in the MCU. I hope in some capacity we see some sort of his just trump card Doctor Strange coming in here and saving the entire universe, because he's that fucking powerful. And that's so cool.
I wouldn't, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I wouldn't discount this Doctor Strange Supreme from showing up in the MCU at a certain point, Obviously,
you think the demon Doctor Strange is
honestly,
Doctor Strange Supreme? Is that what he's called?
It's like it's Benedict Cumberbatch, so obviously that's easy enough. And I think with the Multiverse of Madness, I'm not I think it's possible. I think it's possible that he comes back in some way or another.
Like, even if they're just exploring the different things, and you see him in a little prism, and he's just like this fucking demonic creature.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
I
cool.
could see it.
Really fucking cool.
I don't know what kind of role, but that'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. Doctor Strange is the ultimate badass, and I'll say it. And they dig into the ancient tomes and shit. That's so cool, right?
That was pretty cool.
It's so cool.
It was very cool.
I get real excited about that one. I like this one a lot. And it still brought a little tear to my eye. It was still emotional. It was so heartfelt. His journey.
He did it for love, and it didn't work out. All of his work or I guess he saved her in the end, but then destroyed the whole universe, so then it didn't.
It's like
save her.
Kaladin. It's like Kaladin and Syl. Anyways, that's a
Stormlight Archives reference there.
Anyways, but yeah, it's man, you just gotta let go.
Stuff.
Just gotta let go. Yeah, it's just man, what an episode. This episode was really good. I really enjoyed this episode.
This is one where they had, I think, a really strong idea for it and a really strong character arc in mind, and one that leads to dire consequences for the entire universe. It leaves you in such a holy shit kind of way at the end, more than I think to the other ones. Like I said, and then the universe was fucked. Here it's like the universe just doesn't exist anymore.
It's over.
Doctor Strange trapped in his own reality for eternity to ponder his own mistakes, and the Watcher being like, you made your whole night. Now you got to live in it, or whatever the expression is. So so that was this one was really fucking heady, right. Very cool, very exciting. So I think the one criticism you could bring is just killing Rachel McAdams. She dies
multiple times,
a lot. Yeah,
right. I get it that it's to drive the point of Doctor Strange, but. I don't know.
This poor woman
easy
alone.
To see why he gets driven mad, though. Imagine
for
if
sure.
you have to look at it endlessly.
For sure. I guess it just touches on that old trope in comics of just having the female character be solely there to motivate the male character.
Oh,
that's true.
Okay. But that's not the point. The point is love. That's the point.
He did it for love. No, he did it for love.
But yeah, she couldn't catch a fucking break. She was destined to be dead.
It was love that turned into obsession at a certain point, though. So I think it's warning of you of the perils of
because and I think
attached.
Good point. I like that.
And I think people that have lost a loved one can relate to this on some level. What would you do to bring them back? Would you do everything you've physically and mentally and spiritually could? Probably.
Would you condemn the universe?
But at what cost? Exactly. So I think it brings a really interesting question. If you have the powers of Doctor Strange,
ponder the question.
Is it not worth, because you can't measure someone's worth, but is it the right thing to do? And I think that was a really interesting question.
It's a heady thing, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Anyways, that's all I got.
Episode 5 is not a heady thing. It is what if zombies. A hard turn from what we just got with episode 4, but we've got a pretty good ensemble cast. Mark Ruffalo, Chadwick Boseman, actually just playing straight up T'Challa, Black Panther in this one. Paul Bettany, Sebastian Stan, Evangeline Lilly, Paul Rudd, Jon Favreau, Emily Van Camp, Denai Guerrera. Zombies.
Yeah.
This one clearly taking inspiration from the comics, more directly than some of the other ones where it's riffing on an MCU movie or something like that, or a character. This one is pretty much just there's Marvel zombies in the comics, and we're just going to do a version of that with the MCU iterations of these characters. So, you get kind of fun, interesting pairings. You've got, a Spider-Man in here. I think it's the only one that actually has Spider-Man, and he's got Doctor Strange's
and Spider-Man was great in this
cape at some point. Yeah, it was really fun, really enjoyable. It's interesting, I think that especially coming off the back of episode 4, which is a pretty fucking dark episode, and it has a very dark tone. This one, despite basically involving all of these characters that we know and love getting horribly maimed and killed and just, pretty fucking brutal ways, it's still kind of tongue-in-cheek and funny with it all.
It's because it's got Spider-Man.
It's because he's quipping his way through it all. Is that what it is?
That's it. And they even call him out. It's how do you maintain a smile through all this? It's and then he says whatever he says. I can't remember exactly what he says, but... They even call Spider-Man out,
Yeah.
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 Almost. I was about to make a Stormlight connection.
It's almost like this one thing from another thing.
It's almost like Shalon.
Kind of, sort of not really related to this, but bringing up Spider-Man. I thought it was actually interesting that they got Josh Keaton back for this, but not as Spider-Man, as Captain America, I believe, or Steve Rogers.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because I would have loved to hear him as Spider-Man, because I love the animated series that he's done with Spider-Man. So this was clearly more to be the Tom Holland Spider-Man, so I get that.
That's true. Yeah.
But Spider-Man was fun. I feel like this is the only like Spider-Man centric, if maybe the only like real Spider-Man episode.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think he's in any
totally
others.
is, yeah.
Right, so it's fun.
It's a weird Sony thing or whatever.
Yeah, probably. They're just like, Tom Holland, don't you do it. You signed on for only the movies. Don't you be swinging by in TV shows now.
Say, we got to get you into Venom 3, 4, and 5 as well, so make sure you know that. And Morbius, yeah.
Okay. But, yeah. No, Spider-Man was a fun addition to what could have been a very dark episode, but it's fun. Like, I think
it's still
zombies are done
dark,
Yeah,
where,
for sure.
Vision's a real asshole, and he's just like,
oh yeah, Vision was such an asshole. God damn,
T'Challa to Wanda. I'm like, that's some pretty hardcore shit right there.
Yeah, talk about Vision and Wanda's love, just like wrecking the MCU multiple times. Like Wanda just like enslaves.
That love is strong. There's
a strong love, but Wanda enslaves a whole village. Vision like just feeds people like T'Challa's leg.
Wanda.
Like he was feeding Wanda T'Challa's leg. Like that's not cool. You can't do that to your buddy. You're the fucking king of Wakanda. You can't just like.
And then you got Doctor Strange condemning the entire fucking universe.
Right? It's just like for love. Like ooh, people.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Not at a leg. Apparently, you can draw it a little further than
I guess so. Zombie Wanda was pretty cool though.
Oh yeah. Zombie Wanda. Yeah, Wanda just can't catch a fucking break, Now she's a fucking zombie, just man. Yeah.
Girl's been through enough.
I think so. Any other thoughts? Zombies. It was like I don't know.
It was fun.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. I think I almost wanted more out of it, but it was like fun. I had a decent time.
Couldn't Wanda make herself not a zombie?
Could she?
I don't know. Once she's a zombie, though, like is she kind of?
Do you want to not be a zombie?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Another think piece from what if.
Another think piece. Yeah. Episode 6. What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? Michael B. Jordan.
Episode.
He's back. As Killmonger.
Michael B.
Yeah, some others, a lot of Black Panther mainstays. Chadwick Boseman in this one as well. Angela Bassett, Denai Guerrera, Andy Serkis. So Andrew liked this
cool.
one. Henrique thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I thought it was solid. It was pretty solid. I think people have been clamoring for Killmonger to come back in some incarnation. People are just like, multiverse Killmonger is the new Black Panther, and it's just like, I mean. It's just because you think Michael B. Jordan is awesome. Great. Michael B. Jordan is awesome, but I think this to me proves, if nothing else, Killmonger in any universe is just still a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? And I think that this is like this is Marvel's response to being like, you want multiverse Killmonger? Here you go. This is the he's a good guy, except no, he's still terrible. So what are you gonna do?
That's the thing. Like he's such a compelling character, but he's not like. He's still the villain. Like he has good motivation.
Twisted.
He has good motivations, but like you see what he does, and you can't like say the ends justify the means. So, but I thought really, really neat because it just shows you like the brilliance of Killmonger, basically like outsmarting like probably the smartest character that we've known before in the MCU, Tony Stark, and obviously people have their doubts, but essentially. Takes over Stark Industries, takes over Wakanda, like just essentially before he has any superpowers, just his wits and his training. So cool, really cool character. I've always enjoyed Killmonger. I think Michael B. Jordan just brings a lot of energy and persona and swagger to the character. So he does so in the voice too. So really fun. And I thought that was cool that they brought Michael B. Jordan's love for like anime into this.
And he's like Gundam thing.
He just basically makes Gundams. Like
I made these Gundams in college. Check this out.
Right. And then Tony Stark's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, that was good.
So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I didn't love this one. I think that it's another. I don't know. It just wasn't as compelling to me as something like the T'Challa Star-Lord one, where it's kind of similar, where it's, one thing changes and then the whole world kind of changes around that. Like this one's taking a lot of the events of Iron Man and Black Panther and kind of just,
combining,
going the other way, cutting off Obadiah Stane before he can do anything, and I don't know, but there's still some similarities, like killing Claw, I think, but I don't know. It was good, but this one didn't blow me away or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't really pinpoint it. Like I said, the floor is totally fine, and I don't even know that this one is quite there, but it just didn't have the same sort of, I don't know, feels or experience that I got with some of the other ones. But anyway, any other thoughts on episode 6?
No, that's all I got.
We shall proceed. 3 more. Episode 7. What if Thor were an only child? Chris Hemsworth back, Natalie Portman, Tom Hiddleston, Kat Dennings, Jeff Goldblum, Taika Waititi, among others.
Takiti Watiti.
I had I think this might be the funniest one, and I think
this is the most fun.
And I think Chris Hemsworth, in terms of a lot of these actors coming back to reprise their own live action roles, I think Chris Hemsworth is probably like one of the best at it. Like he's awesome. Like he's just full Thor, and like ridiculous Thor, party Thor, I guess as they kind of call him. Like, I thought he was so good. He was having so much fun, and you could tell he was having so much fun with this role. Kind of an extension of obviously the funnier Thor that we've seen in Ragnarok forward, but I had a blast with this one. I thought it was awesome. And it's like kind of like a not, episode 4 is the universe fucking getting destroyed at the hands of Doctor Strange. This is Thor coming to Earth and fucking shit up for a bit, and then mommy's gonna come. I got to clean up my room, so I don't get grounded. It was like kind of like not a huge deal, I guess, except for the ending of just kind of being like a holy shit what thing. But I had a great time with this one. Like this one just really clicked for me for some reason.
I thought this one was kind of lame.
Yeah, see, different strokes, different folks, that sort of thing.
I don't know if it was as lame as some of the episodes we've seen before because of the humor. But it was enough for me to lay off until the season had completed. I waited a couple, and then I completed the series in one stroke. So it was one of the talk episodes versus the ticks. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah.
It was funny. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going after the Doctor Strange episode. To be completely honest, I was kind of at a lull until the last 2. So that's kind of my opinion on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like Andrew, you and I had a little bit of a different experience. I did
enjoy. I don't know.
Hey, you certainly enjoyed Darcy and Howard the Duck getting married in Vegas. I mean,
yes, I did enjoy that.
That's some good stuff.
I enjoyed the fact that Jane wakes up and she's drunk in the hotel room, and then I mean there was a lot of fun stuff in it. Don't get me wrong. It was
silly, you know what I mean? Like it was silly
Jane
in a way that the
too.
other ones weren't. Yeah. I mean, she was. They were having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Howard the Duck had some game too, I guess.
He's got some game. I mean, no doubt about that. No doubt about
duck
that.
in a suit. How do you not have any game as a duck in a suit?
As anyone that has seen the 1980s Howard the Duck film can attest, Howard the Duck has some game.
I've never seen
that sounds like a good bonus episode material.
Oh no. I'm down. I'm super down.
Okay. Yeah. Fun episode. Love me some party Thor, some frost giant party Loki, I guess. I don't know how you call him.
Yeah.
But
that was good. That was
brother from another mother.
And they're all okay with
fun.
It. Everything.
Yeah. We're better brothers, if anything.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts?
No.
All right. Episode 8. What if Ultron won? AKA, what if Ultron was better than he was in his own movie?
That's not a big what if. But.
We get it's not a huge challenge or anything like that. But no, the one thing I will say, This episode's got Jeremy Renner. It's got a few others. This one actually I think probably has the most like just general recast of all of them. Lake Bell, Ross Marquand is playing Ultron. Josh Keaton, you talked about this, playing Steve in this one. Mick Wingert as Iron Man. Alexandra Daniels as Carol. Like there's a lot of like non MCU players kind of taking over the main roles. I sorely missed James Spader's voice as Ultron. I didn't. It was Ross Marquand he's done a great Red Skull. We saw it in Infinity War, and I think he was Red Skull in episode 1 here. He's no James Spader. I felt like Ultron lacked the gravitas and just the sort of presence through his voice that he had.
If you don't have the James Spader, then just make it sound different. Like that's one scenario where I wish
a more robotic voice or something.
Where I wish like they would have strayed a little bit further from the MCU, because they already went different with this Ultron. Like,
true.
Like his design eventually looks different. Like this is a little bit more closer to the comics in design and like
definitely
story, which I really like, because like Ultron's probably one of my favorite villains, just because he's so cold. He's just a machine, and he often beats the Avengers. So I liked having a more Ultron focused episode, but I definitely agree that compared to the movie, James Spader just had like he was a great voice actor for Ultron, even though like it's not what I expected before the movie came out, but I think he did a good job and like brought personality to it.
Is this the episode where they were searching through the filing cabinets?
Yes. And the Watcher's like, no, come on, you're so close.
You're so close.
Right there.
Yeah. This is also the episode where Ultron realized the Watcher is watching him and breaks through, and they have a goddamn fist fight for a bit.
That was an oh shit moment.
Yeah, that was cool.
Cause you see the Watcher kind of like getting closer, and he's like, Doctor Strange kind of notices him and everything.
That's right.
But then Ultron just becomes like so sentient with the Infinity Stones and everything that he's like, I know you're there. And he's like, and I'm gonna find you. And then he does, and he like breaks whatever dimensional barrier that is to reach the Watcher. And it was a little silly when they started just fist fighting, but. It's still kind of
we got to give the Watcher an
moment.
Action beat too. You can't just watch all the time. He's got to get off his ass and do something.
Watcher's got hands.
Yeah, he's throwing them. He's throwing hands. This one it was. I liked having a different flavor of Ultron. And I still hope that I hope this doesn't cut off the potential for them to at some point do a new or bringing Ultron back. As a threat.
It can happen.
I think that we can get there eventually. We don't need to get there anytime soon. But this was a nice kind of alternate version. I liked the combination of Ultron and Vision that we saw here. Like the design itself, I think, was really cool. Collecting the Infinity Stones, like, it's fucking badass. He's a big enough threat that as we'll talk about in episode 9, you got to put a team together. And
this is when he sliced up Thanos with one stroke, right?
Right. Yes.
Just with his beam.
Just cut him clean in half. Right?
Yeah. If anything, I feel like what if reiterated that like Tony Stark is dead, and that like Thanos maybe not that big of a threat, because Ultron can take him out with one thing, and he kind of got beat up in the T'Challa episode too. True. By his own Black Order. So maybe Thanos is nothing without his Infinity Stones.
Maybe. Any other thoughts on Ultron winning? What if Ultron won? What if he did it?
He won. He did it.
He did.
It'd be really shitty for all of us if he won. That would be
because he got all the universe, all the multiverses.
Yeah, well, I guess we will just have to find out what has to happen next in episode 9. What if the Watcher broke his oath, in which the Watcher puts together the Guardians of the Multiverse with Doctor Strange Supreme, Captain Carter, Star-Lord T'Challa, Party Thor, Killmonger, and a version of Gamora that we have not seen at all.
Hello.
There was an episode that was, I think, cut from this first season that's going to be pushed to the second season. Apparently it wasn't done. So it's kind of weird because we just have like a sort of Gamora-y Thanos, or Thanos-y Gamora rather, just hanging around. But you kind of get over it. You don't really know what her deal is, but they'll explain that sometime down the line. But they got everyone's got to team up and do what they can to stop the Ultron from
Ultroning about.
I don't know, just taking over the whole multiverse. Basically,
I guess
that's kind of his goal. But anyway, it's everything is standalone. Episodes 1 through 8 all standalone. Episode 9 says, all right, let's bring it all together. You didn't watch all that shit for nothing. It wasn't intended to be some big thing. The multiverse can collide and we can do it in this kind of grand fashion. So I really liked that they tied it all together.
I think the point is there's no rules when there's a multiverse.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was great that they pulled it all together and the character interactions were good. Killmonger continues to be an asshole. Exactly. Just kind of pretty typical things. And Doctor Strange being like, "Oh, I can get out of my universe. Great."
Yeah. No, you put Killmonger on a team, and you're like, really? You're gonna put the guy who just like betrayed his mentor and like took over his kind of sort of birth, not really country, and yeah, of course he betrayed the Guardians. So,
yeah,
interesting team though, I gotta say.
Yeah, it was. It's different, right? A different flavor than we've. It's not an Avengers 2.0 or anything like that. It's just very much just totally all over the place in terms of kind of where they went with it, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean, this Doctor Strange by himself could take on most other teams.
He could probably solo Ultron.
Yeah.
They Doctor Strange was Mjolnirs. He was doing some work. Yeah,
and they just pile Mjolnirs.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is the episode before the one where they introduced the computer virus through the arrow?
They set it up, I think, in episode 8.
Kind of like
that's like
Artem Zola,
because that's what they're doing in the file cabinet. They're trying to find stuff on Zola. And so they kind of, I don't know exactly how it resolves in that, but they bring it back around in this one because you've got kind of this post-apocalyptic Hawkeye and Black Widow, and I think Hawkeye dies at some point. Maybe I just made that up.
He does, yeah. He kind of does the opposite sacrifice almost.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay, yeah. But then Black Widow's got, this, she's the one that I think finally gets what she needs to get Zola to take over Ultron, and that's kind of how they solve it. And then was it Black Widow gets dropped off in another universe, right? Isn't that kind of how her
I was wondering.
Off in a universe where she died.
Okay,
right.
It looks like it was the one where the Avengers were all killed. So that even ties it into that episode too. So
yeah,
it all kind of comes full circle.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of fun. It's the fun of it all. And we know we're getting more, so it's cool, but there's going to be more threats lurking and stuff like that. But, this feels like a team that they can go back to or build, add expansions to and stuff like that. But it's all really cool how they kind of, I don't know. It almost sold me more on the series itself with how they tied it all together. I think episodes 1 through 8 was like, yeah, this is like good. I enjoyed it. But like episode 9 was just like, all right. They wrapped it all up in a nice kind of clean bow for me, and I appreciated what they did in doing that. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I think on some hand, like I like the cohesive experience. On the other hand, maybe I went in expecting it to be more different than it was, and that's kind of what shaped it. So the episodes that strayed away from the MCU a little bit more, I feel like I enjoyed it just because it was so fresh and different, and I totally understand why you're not introducing new characters as much in this, because then you're kind of confined to the live action. So if you introduce like Fantastic Four in here, then you kind of have your hands tied with like, do you cast someone who looks like that, who sounds like that, if they don't have someone already there, or do you introduce someone in here knowing that not everyone's going to watch this? So I get that. I think they could have done a few kind of interesting things with actors that have already been announced. So bring in like a Kamala Khan maybe, or a Blade. I think that would have been really fun. Like the first intro to our new Blade would be in here or something. I don't know how you tie that in, but I think that would have gotten me even more hyped for the show if they kind of went on a few new areas that the MCU would be going down later.
Yeah, and certainly introducing a big time character and an animated medium. I think that would almost get more people interested in the show because it's consequential in that sort of way. But
right.
Hey,
or you bring in like some of the other weird multiverse things, like some of the Sonyverse stuff, or like
maybe a Venom.
Yeah,
or not a Venom. I was gonna say maybe like the X-Men. Like you bring in one of the like a random X-Men character and just be
or
like,
a Fantastic Four. That'd been cool.
Yeah, I just wonder if like you I feel like you have to bring in new Fantastic Four, knowing that there's gonna be a movie coming out in the future. Like you can't bring like a Jessica Alba. I mean, you could be weird and bring like Chris Evans to voice the Human Torch.
Couldn't even
but that'd be kind of weird
up for Captain America. He's going to come up, here for Johnny Storm. I don't think so. But
right.
We're going to get a season 2. As I said. So maybe they're going to feel more confident. And feel more liberties to kind of push in even more weird, interesting, out there directions, and maybe that means introducing characters we haven't seen before. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm excited to see what they do with it. We know they're going to do that Gamora episode for sure, but we don't really know anything beyond that. So the sky's the limit, really. So hopefully, having a season under their belt will give them the confidence to move forward and bring us some more crazy shit. And so I guess I don't know. I guess that's it for me on What If. You guys have any other last minute thoughts for it?
That's it.
No. Did we get it right, Andrew?
Oh,
was that your favorite episode?
It was the Doctor Strange episode, right?
Yeah,
that was your
totally
favorite.
got it right. Without question.
What about you, Henrique? Did you have a favorite? Since
I did.
I
did like a couple episodes. I liked Doctor Strange. I like some other ones later on. I think just the one that I liked the most, probably partially because it was the big send-off episode, was the second one with T'Challa as Star-Lord. It was just a very different turn and very comedic, familiar but different. So, and of course the send-off for Chadwick. So probably I would say this season might be my favorite.
Yeah, I would say I think the Doctor Strange one was probably like the quote-unquote best episode, like how I would classify it. The most enjoyable episode for me was honestly the Party Thor one.
Party Thor.
Well, I think my favorite one actually might be episode 1. Maybe I undersold it, but it was like comfort food. But like
it was
I don't
good,
know, man.
It was definitely
just Captain
good.
Carter. Like it was just what I needed to like get me into the show. And like as much as I enjoyed a lot of the other ones, that one for me was just, I don't know, just hit me in all the right spots. So
and it started with I guess it didn't start with Captain America, but it kind of started with
in a way.
Captain America.
In a way, yeah.
Those early days,
right.
So yeah. All right. Well, that is What If. Thank you, Henrique, for hanging out with us, talking about What If. For those who are going to miss him for the rest of this episode, fear not. He will be back to talk Eternals and do a full episode with us on Eternals on our next episode. But for now, I will ask Andrew, you've been up to anything that you want to talk about on this episode?
Yes. I will start it out by saying my 5th grade teacher. I think it was my 5th grade teacher. Miss Phillips was my 5th grade teacher.
Yes, that seems right. Our 5th grade teacher.
Our 5th grade teacher. Our 5th grade teacher's son is a Guinness Book or World Record holder.
Okay. All right.
I found this out today, so it's part of the catching up. Catching up is I watched this guy do flips on pogo sticks in the UK. Let's see if it does it. Oh.
All right. Oh, he's doing some flips.
Yeah, he flips over
for the listeners.
He
seems to be. Is he going to flip over some vehicles? Or
yes,
just flipped over many or
something,
some other sort of vehicle.
Yeah. So our 5th grade teacher's son is a Guinness Book of World Record holder for most consecutive cars jumped over on a pogo stick.
That's
how
very
about that?
Niche, but pretty fucking impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, doing flips over pogo sticks. So that's pretty cool.
Bust my ass. I would kill myself trying to do that.
I would definitely die.
My head would split open on something. Whether that's the car, the pavement on one side or the other, it's just
would
death.
be bad.
Just death.
So what have we done? I've watched The Voice, but I'm not completely caught up. I have been, I'm within the next 150 pages, I'll be done with Words of Radiance, which is pretty cool. Very excited about that. Some real shit is popping off, in this 150 pages.
I think we're in a weird situation where the next episode you'll be further behind than you are right now because we recorded that earlier. So
that's true.
I know you. I think you talked about it. I think maybe some specifics then, but Words of Radiance is good shit. I'm excited for you to finish it. So I mean, honestly, by the time we record next, you might be done with it. I don't know.
I anticipate being done. I think this trip I'll finish this trip.
That's true. You got some traveling. I mean, you can listen to that on the plane if you want to.
Yeah, I'll probably bring the book. I'll probably read on the plane. That way I can get that much further ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little faster that way. True.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But I think I should be done within the next week. I anticipate being done within the next week. And then I need to order Edge Dancer, which I think is the next... it's a novella.
Yeah, novella kind of between Words and Oathbringer.
Yeah. So I am 110% all in. Like I said, some real shit's popping off, and it's exciting. Very, very happy.
So within a week, you will pass me.
Within a week?
In your read of the Stormlight Archive. Or, around a week, roughly around a week. As soon as you read anything and Edge Dancer, you're further ahead than me. So it'll be a bit of a role reversal.
I already have Oathbringer, so it's just a matter of catching up on that. I did schedule my I got this thing to calibrate the stereo or the home audio theater or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
To calibrate all the levels and stuff. And I hired some professionals to come in and calibrate everything. So that'll be cool. Scheduled that. I would imagine if Witcher comes out in a month from 30 days from today.
Yep. Basically, yeah.
Then The Witcher will probably be the first thing I watch in calibrated home theater, which will be pretty cool. Golly, I think besides the trip up there, which is coming up in 2 days, and going to Blue Ridge for Thanksgiving, I think that's really all I got. Just been everything extra, anything other than I finished what was that show? I finished a show called Maid on Netflix.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've been talking about it or not. Maybe I haven't. Started a show called Maid a little while ago. I think it's like a 8 or 10 episode arc. Follows a single mom raising a child. And she leaves an abusive relationship and is gaslighted, and she just has the world on her shoulders, and she's trying to do the best for her daughter, and it's a heart-wrenching show. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. It made me cry probably. I think every episode probably made me cry, if not two. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes didn't make me cry, but every episode made me fucking cry. Every single one. Which probably is a low bar to set, because I can cry during pretty much anything. But this one really connected. It brought some memories back. And I personally related to this in a couple of different ways. And it's just a very, very well written. I think it's based off of a book. But it's a very compelling, very, very compelling show. Well acted. And I had a really good time with it. Sarah wanted to watch it. I clicked it on, and probably one of the best dramas I've watched in quite some time. It's very, very, very good. And I think that's about it. Really.
Nice. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start Yellowstone since we finished Maid.
Okay. Yeah. It's on Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I'm just looking at this right now. I didn't really know anything about it, but yeah, getting some great reviews and another one.
Is it getting reviewed good?
Yeah. No. It seems all around to get some pretty high marks. So yeah. So that's one to add to the backlog of things that I'll attempt to get around to watching. But yeah, Yellowstone I'm curious about too. The Taylor Sheridan thing, just that alone makes it
that's enough to make you
worth visiting at least, and checking it out. But yeah, so all right, well, a few good things there. Then I only have a couple things that I'll talk about on this episode. And I think it's just to close the loop on the Halloween stuff, which again is we're now well past that at this point. But around Halloween time, I watched a terrible film called The Haunted Mansion starring Eddie Murphy. It was on Disney Plus. Anna and I had a friend over, and I wasn't going to watch anything. I think we were actually going to watch The Muppets Haunted Mansion, but she had already seen it, and we actually did watch like half of it. It was like fine. It's better than this. Yeah, they started this one. It's the early 2000s Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, based on the theme park ride, of course. I was going to watch it. I was going to go edit, and then I got sucked in like 15 minutes in. I'm just like, this is, I got sucked in, and I regretted every second of it because it was just really bad. It's one of those things where it's just like, I remembered like not loving this film, but also I was like a kid when it came out. So maybe it just wasn't super interesting as a kid, but then now I watch it as an adult. I'm like, oh no, this is just garbage. Like any way you spend it, it's just really, really fucking poorly made and just a bad vehicle for Eddie Murphy. There's a reason that Pirates had the lasting power that it did, and this did not. But they're apparently doing a new version of it with I forget who's in it, but I think Owen Wilson's in it for sure. I think Lakeith Stanfield maybe. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Haunted Mansion has potential, in terms of adapting it from ride to screen. This did not hit the mark in terms of what the assignment was, I guess. But the other thing I watched was American Horror Story Murder House, which is the first season of American Horror Story. I think I talked about this a little bit, either last episode prior to that. I'm not sure exactly when. We finished it. I think it was 12 episodes in the first season. I think it's a schlocky show. It kind of lays it on thick a little bit, but damn if I wasn't entertained by it. I wouldn't say I was scared, I guess, by it, but I think it was pretty effective at serving up some some thrills and chills and whatever, in terms of what the subject matter deals with the concept of people moving into a haunted house and all the various shenanigans that it entails, and it goes places. I mean, it's all over the place of just being like there's like ghosts, there's monsters, there's creatures, there's it really just kind of throws a lot of horror-y things into a blender and kind of goes from there. But I think it does that all pretty effectively. Has like the dramatic elements of our soapy, but the horror stuff is pretty well done, and it all kind of, every episode kind of keeps you on your toes, introduces something new or fun to kind of to chew on. So I had a good time with it. Enough so that I think I'm gonna shelve American Horror Story for a while, but I wouldn't mind watching like future seasons of it, around Halloween time. If it takes me 10 years to finish American Horror Story because I just only watch a season every Halloween, like that would be fine. And it's an anthology series. So it's kind of designed so that you don't need to, you can watch a season here, you can watch a season there, you can skip a season if you really care to. Like, you're fine. Who gives a shit? So yeah, I actually would recommend it. It's all streaming on Netflix. Like I said, we're obviously well past spooky season at this point, but come next year, or if you don't really give a shit about that sort of thing and you'll watch horror shit whenever you feel like it, like,
yes,
go for it. It's not really how it works in this household because Anna's not a big horror buff. So
maybe that's an indication why we didn't do a.
Yeah, well, it's possible. It's definitely possible, but
although you saw Halloween and I did not, so
yeah, it's still streaming on Peacock if you want to torture yourself with it. I mean, if you want to watch it, so it's fine. It's not good, but it's like it's 90 minutes. You can manage, but again, it's a time thing. It's like I could watch The Voice, and honestly, it's probably more entertaining to watch The Voice. It honestly probably is. I'm just saying, like, I'm not someone that watches The Voice, but, clearly there's some entertainment value to be gained there.
It's not. It's so the host of the show, Carson
Daly.
Carson Daly. He's the fucking worst. Every time I immediately want to say his name, I immediately just think of Tucker Carlson. I just want to call him Tucker Carlson. He's so bad that I equate him to Tucker. If that tells you how. It's a fucking Tucker.
I'm trying to make my best Tucker face.
Yeah,
just mild shock.
Carson's the worst.
Spewed my way.
How is he? Yeah. I don't know how he scored that job. As long as scored that job,
is he worse? Is he worse than James Corden?
No, he's way worse. Yeah,
he's way worse. Okay,
yeah,
right,
I would take him over. Right. I would take just about anybody over. Really,
about anybody. Would you take him over Tucker himself though?
They're about on the same.
It's a question. It's a question to be considered.
The judges will be talking, and they're like, "Oh, you're doing a great job," and then Carson comes in here and says, "All right, now judges, you have to choose." It's what the fuck are you doing, Carson?
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Judges have as much time to deliberate as they goddamn please. You don't run this show. Are you a fucking producer on this? I don't fucking see your name in the credits.
I call him Tucker again, but I do say, "God damn it, Carson! What are you doing? What are you doing, dude?" They're all laughing and having a good time with the people, and then Carson steps in and he just okay. The jokes fly over his head half the time, and he just cuts right through it. And it's God damn it, dude. Anyways, that's all I have to offer.
He's the no fun police, basically, is what you're saying.
Fucking Carson Daly, yes.
Tucker Carlson Daly. All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up there. What do you think?
Yes. Let's wrap it up.
Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can, it's $2 a month, and you'll get early access to all of our regular episodes, as well as timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes that we work on. So, for example, if you're listening to this when this episode comes out on the regular feed, we've already recorded our next episode. It's already up on the Patreon. You can listen to the whole goddamn thing without waiting for me to edit it. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, and that might, who knows how long that'll take, really. So, I'm just saying, it's out there for you. There's a reason that we offer it for the select few that they just can't wait. We just can't wait. And we appreciate you if you support us on Patreon. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can follow us on Twitter at WRRPod. You can like our Facebook page if you just search for Watch Review Repeat. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, and want to be on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, send some thoughts our way on whatever you've been up to. watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Happy to take a look at that. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our next episode, it's in the bag. It's Eternals. Henrique's back. We went in depth. It won't, hopefully, I don't think it'll be split into a non-spoiler and spoiler episode. I think we kept it contained enough to just be one good chunk of an episode, one good sized episode. Yeah, some thoughts on perhaps one of the most polarizing films that Marvel Studios has released thus far. So you'll just have to stay tuned and hear us weigh in on how Eternals stacks up compared to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So with that, I think Andrew can take us out.
Take care now. Bye bye then.
Laters on the Menjay.